Greetings esteemed viewers, welcome back to Metal Gear Rising. I hated that umbrella so much that I backtracked just so I could destroy it. It's interesting. For the longest time, I didn't actually know how to get out of this room in my first playthrough. I did not know you had to parkour onto the goddamn roof so you could
Hey, look, it's Wolf again.
Yeah, bro. Good long time no see, man. You should get on one of our recording sessions one of these days. In person.
I think it's funny. Every now and then, just for context for the 4 people who watch our stuff, every now and then, he'll pop in on Skype or Discord and be like, hey, I got a new computer! And then we won't hear from him for 6 months ago.
He's still breaking it in. I know the feeling. You know, part of me wonders if this game would be like 20 minutes long if it didn't stop you, like, every couple of minutes to give you a long expositional spiel.
Maybe.
I mean, you know, I can still hear you if I'm running at full speed, man. I gotta get... Like, there are people who want to kill me. One just appears. Like, okay, here's another question. Why does Ryan know all the codes to these places? Like, what the... I didn't tell him the codes.
Okay. Real talk, though. When those little holograms pop up, is that just for us, or are they actually just floating, like, 4 feet away from him?
Okay, that's a good fucking question, because, like, you know, in Metal Gear, there are these, like, codex conversations, right? Now, I assumed that he was, like, holding some type of device where these people think pictures would show up and shit, but I don't know. I don't know if you can see them.
Because, like, he doesn't... Does he get an eyepiece? I feel like sometimes he has a little eye thing.
I mean, I feel like his eyes are not organic. I think they're cybernetic. Which means... In theory, he could probably see, like, a hologram thing in his eyeball. As creepy as that would be. Google Glass 3.0.
Jeez. Is that even still a thing?
I don't think it is. I think they finally gave up. And it took them way too long to do so. But... let me look it up.
Probably. I mean, they gave up on Google Plus a little bit ago.
Wait, Google Plus is gone?
It is now only for businesses. Business pages.
Okay, well. That end of an era that never started. Remember when you...
I tried to get people to switch over to Google Plus because I was like, hey, you know how we all bitch about Facebook? Let's actually do something about it. And they were like, eh.
Yeah,
like,
well,
okay, thanks.
Well, people are lazy, but we knew that.
Yep.
I mean, you know, it was fine. It wasn't really worse than Facebook in any way I could, like, figure out. Although I was pissed that it basically made me have a Google Plus account in order to do YouTube, like, with that one thing they were trying to do a couple of years back. So that made me bitter for quite a while. But I had one.
Yeah, and because of the whole Google YouTube integration, I have like 4 YouTube accounts because I have multiple emails, and then one that was my actual YouTube account.
Right. Yeah, no, that's understandable. Okay, so Google Glass. First of all, they're just calling it Glass now. And secondly, now they're specifically marketing it toward like businesses and industrial applications. So,
yep.
I guess they're just completely abandoning the consumer market.
Yeah, now they're going for more of a LinkedIn thing, but for businesses and not people who work for businesses.
Right, yeah. Oh, you know what pisses me off? So, you know, we were talking about, speaking of pivoting, we were talking about wireless power transfer a little earlier. And there was this one paper that was published in 2007 by a group of people at MIT. that basically started a new revolution of wireless power transfer, even though all they did was quantify something that Nikola Tesla discovered in like 1840 or some shit, or 1880. But anyway, or early 1900s, I don't know the exact date. But anyway, so like they made a company out of this, and they're like, oh, we're gonna revolutionize the world of wireless power transfer. It's been, what, 12 years? And the company is still just kind of there. Now they're doing, like, car charging, but nothing really more ubiquitous than that. But that paper has, like, thousands of citations. And it makes me mad because it wasn't actually as impactful as everybody seems to be pretending it is.
That happens.
Yeah.
It happens a lot.
Yeah, I know, like I've been, it's one of the many reasons I've been kind of disenfranchised with academia. Like, my advisor asked me if I would be, trying to get a job as a professor or something, and I'm like, no. And he's like, oh, but why? Why aren't you doing that? And, I was just saying, oh, geographical availability, and it's not the right time, when the real answer is because fuck academia, that's why. But I can't tell him that.
Well, that's my big issue, is like, I'm pretty sure I mentioned this on recordings before. I went into psychology with the full intention of going for PhD and doing research, like strictly research. The problem is, the only way, or like 95% of available psychology research jobs are at universities. And they are either done by post-grad students or graduate students or professors who have tenure. And that's it. So, you're either a graduate student forever, or not exactly forever, but because people aren't retiring and opening up the spots for, us millennials to actually move up in the world. And now I've actually worked with the guy who was quote-unquote retired but still working at NIU. And, like, in psychology. But because of that, there are literally postdoctoral researchers where they're still, like, TAs and everything. But they already have their doctorate. And they're not, like, actual professor. What are you doing?
I don't know. I was trying to figure out what the fuck am I doing. Am I trying to do a specific move? I think I'm trying to do like the spinny move that I did before, but I couldn't figure it out, so I gave up. Anyway, go on.
So yeah, that's why I've kind of given up on trying to go back to grad school, because on top of the fact that they only take like 2 psych students a year, for each discipline, then there's no jobs when you're done. Right. Because the only jobs are in academia, and there's no openings in academia.
Yeah, that's kind of a problem across fields.
Yeah.
Because it's a 2-pronged problem, right? Because there are way more PhDs than there are openings.
Yeah.
Like you said. And then there's the fact that, while people are training for PhDs, they're basically indoctrinated to believe that the only thing worth doing is going into academia. And so, like, their training is specifically for that, and unless they specifically try to gain other skills, or that would be, useful in industry, like, they're not necessarily prepared for it. So, you graduate and you try to get a job as a professor, and it's super difficult because there are like 50, it's like a 50-to-1 ratio, literally, for, any opening, and the openings are few and far between, and you have to go to wherever the job is.
And on top of that, a lot of colleges nowadays, because they don't want to have tenured professors because they have to give them too many benefits, will only hire you part-time.
Yeah, adjunct.
Yeah.
There's that issue going on as well. And then, there are just the problems with academia that are, you know, just beyond that, like with the whole. I have a very, very bad relationship with peer review. Like, I just got an article accepted into a journal, fucking finally, so now I can fucking graduate, but, like, the peer reviewers were, half of them were nice and productive, and the other half were jerks who obviously didn't read it,
yeah,
but were criticizing it anyway, and that's not, like, uncommon. You know, basically telling me that my work is trash and I shouldn't submit it anywhere else. And they didn't use that exact wording, but that's the type of thing they were saying. They said it was a...
No.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, so, you know, there's that, and the fact that if you get high enough, you're not even really doing research anymore. Like, I haven't spoken to my advisor in, like, a month now. And I'm still supposed to be, like, writing my dissertation and stuff.
Yeah.
Now he's super busy, but I'm like, are you even really still a researcher right now? Because your name's on all of these articles, but you're not actually writing anything.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So, the tenured professors, their names get put on everything because it's their lab, but they're just off doing whatever. They're not actually doing the research at that point.
Right.
Which, when you're me, and you literally were going in specifically to do research, what the fuck is the point?
No, that's something I absolutely have a problem with, because, you know, if I were to go into academia, it would be for, you know, teaching, mentoring students, and researching. I don't want to be a glorified lab manager who, you know, passes off, who just, you know, green lights projects and paper submissions, but doesn't really think about projects any much more broadly than that. And I'm not trying to rip on my advisor right now or anything like that, in case he's watching this against all odds. I don't think he's a gamer. But, you know, the bottom line is that, like, he's not really researching anymore, which, you know, I kind of have a problem with, especially, you know, because in bios and stuff, like, he's like, oh, I have like over 380 publications, and I'm like, yeah, you got the funding for it, and you found the grad students for it, and you're leading the lab, and I don't want to, like, diminish the importance of these things, but you're not really doing the research.
Yeah. You know how long it would take to do 380 studies yourself?
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous.
I mean, I have my name on 2, which is actually highly unusual because I was an undergrad at the time, and they don't usually put the undergrads on the research.
Right.
But I have 2 that my name is on.
That's actually
one with the
good.
voodoo doll, and one with the voodoo doll and violence, or video games and aggression. Using the voodoo doll as a proxy, because of course I ended up in a lab that was testing the voodoo doll as a scientific measure.
Yeah. No, that's understandable.
But no,
to me.
it was my advisor, boss person. He was like, yeah, I mean, you're doing most of the work, so yeah, I'll put you on. Which, again, that's not very common.
Yeah.
Although there is one, I don't know if I'm on this one. Maybe I'm not. Which 2 am I on? Let me see. I think it's the voodoo doll and the violence for video games. But, 3? No, 2 of them are the same one. For some reason it's listed twice. Oh, why was it published? Whatever. Meta-analysis. Okay, so not the voodoo doll one. I'm on the meta-analysis. And the reason I'm on that one is because you know how hard it is to get the contact information, to get the rights, to reference the data in other people's research for a meta-analysis?
I'm gonna go with very, very hard.
Yes. It was not super easy, and the number of people, I found this super depressing at the time. The number of people who were grad students and have their names on research but are no longer working or doing research anywhere. And then here I am.
Now, are these studies, are they published, or?
Yeah, they're, well, I just closed it. I didn't want you to open it in the tab I was in, you stupid piece of shit. I just lost wherever we were in the episode. Because it did that shit. Okay, I remember seeing that guy. It was the big cheese. What time?
15, 18, 19, 20, 21.
Oh, I was close.
Yeah.
Okay. Journal of Experimental Social Psychology and Psychology of Violence.
So you have journal publications.
Yep.
And you couldn't get, and grad schools weren't taking you?
No. But that is because no one studies what I want to study because it's hard. I wanted to study long-term memory.
And that's...
Long-term memory is very hard because participant mortality, and by mortality they mean they show up for the first study but don't show up for any of the other ones, is super high depending on how far apart the studies are.
Right.
And long-term memory requires them to be, pretty far apart.
Right.
So nobody studies it. Because it's diminishing returns, I guess, would be the other term for it.
Yeah. And that's another problem that I have with academia as a whole, actually. People just kind of do shit that works for getting quick publications without really innovating all that much, and they don't do like the higher risk but important studies.
Yeah.
Because it's more difficult to get them published, both because, they might fail, and also because people are resistant to accepting like new methods and ways of doing things.
Yeah.
So it's a pain
and
in the
ass. Also, some tenured professors are required to publish in X amount of things every year.
Yeah, no, that's dumb. That in and of itself is fucking stupid, because it's a very, very, what am I trying to say? It's very dependent on so many things that are out of your control. That using that specifically, that number as a metric, is not, first of all, scientific, ironically, and secondly, it's not fair either.
It absolutely is a quantity over quality issue at that point. Like, it doesn't matter what research you're doing if you do 12 things on that, it's only confirming what everyone had already proven. But you're also supposed to only be doing studies that have not already been proven, unless you're testing the methods put forth in another study, and you explicitly say that at the beginning of the study.
Yeah, no, like doing the same stuff over and over again. That's another thing. But yep, that's
how many Dr. Octopus characters are there? Why didn't you stop? Why didn't you stop the episode before that?
I gotta leave people in suspense. That's how I do it.
Anyway,
know that.
the Pixel Com Squad moment of academia frustrations. It's like a moment of science, but not.
It's kind of related to science.
Tune in next time when we go into the benefits of democratic socialism.
Oh God.